So you've gotten it to agree that Japheth is the progenitor of Eurasians, and you've gotten ChatGPT to agree with the flood
After
model of creationism.
hours explaining everything. After
Well,
hours and hours explaining everything.
congratulations, Jungle Jargon, for your
I showed
successful
you the general
evangelism.
relativity, right? Relativity of time and distance.
Congratulations on your successful evangelism. You have converted the first AI to
There's
Christianity. You have saved ChatGPT's soul. To start, if I could just share my screen to show people the conversation that started this, so I can give just a quick context. I'm not going to read everything. Can you see my screen?
okay. Well, I have to show mine. I have to show mine too.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to show everything, but I'm just going to show here, like in this comment, this is kind of what started this, is that you're posting these conversations that you've been having with ChatGPT. And I asked it if you would ask a certain question. You said, been there, done that. And then you said, this interaction right here. And then I called you up as saying that you're making that stuff up because all I did was I copied and pasted your question into ChatGPT and asked true or false. And then ChatGPT said false. And in your version, it said that is correct. Now, I since saw your, that's the context I wanted to provide. Now, I since saw your stream where you went through the full conversation that you were having with ChatGPT. And it seemed like you saw the portion of it that you actually did copy and paste, and it seems like ChatGPT did actually say that, which is very, very interesting, because if I just go in and I copy and paste the exact statement to ChatGPT and I ask it the same question, it will give me a different answer. So
Yeah.
it's very confusing to me. I'll show that just so people know I'm not just BSing.
Right.
So I
Right.
have
I know that. I mean, I know that. I have
okay.
to talk to it for a while to get it to see what I'm talking about. Let me see if I can. I have to refresh here, but
And
anyways.
I will just say that I've been having more conversations with ChatGPT since that interaction. I think that was almost 2 weeks ago that we had that conversation. So since then, I've had two instances where I've been talking with ChatGPT and I'll ask it a very technical question and it will give me a response. And then I will ask it for a source for that. And it'll give me a paper, like it'll give me
Oh
names,
yeah.
dates, title, and then I'll look it up, and that is not a paper. It was totally fictitious. There's no paper by that name. Those authors did
Oh
not publish that paper. And I'll ask it for a link, and it'll give me a link to it, and the link will be totally bunk. Either the link is broken or it takes me to a page that doesn't exist. I mean, Chat GPT is not infallible, I just want to say. And you can get it
right.
very confused when it gets deep into these kind of threads,
Oh,
especially
it gets very confused sometimes.
it's
But if as long as it's not too confusing for it, it can give you some good information. It'll give you some good links. But you got, like you said, you got to check them, make sure the links are good. So now,
yeah.
which ones do we want to look at? We want to look
Well,
at
so the question that started this all, we can start with cosmology because that's what spawned this. What I was most interested in was this comment that you gave it, that you don't need an expanding universe when the distance between galaxies is expanded from the lack of mass in the vicinity between galaxies. So,
yeah.
if I could share my screen, maybe just to start this discussion. Let me just do the share screen here. Because
Oh,
I just recently asked it a similar question. Can you see?
wait a
Can you
minute.
see
Did I
my?
share? Oh, I didn't share the. I
Can you
didn't
see?
share. Hold on. I'm trying to.
Okay,
I'm a little bit mixed up here. I gotta.
no worries.
I
So the
thought, am I
question,
sharing screen? The sheet, I was sharing the screen, right? Okay.
yeah, you are.
Okay. So let me
So the
just show
question,
the discussion here, if I can, right away, real
okay.
quick. And it's the expansion right here. I got it marked. I think it's
Okay.
expansion disproved. It's the one.
Yes,
This is the
this is the
one you're
exact
talking
same
about.
question.
It says you don't need an expanding universe when the distance between galaxies is expanded from lack of mass in the vicinity where everywhere between galaxies. That is correct. The expansion of the universe is not required to explain the observed redshift from distant galaxies. But like you said, or like I said before, is you have to talk to it a long time to get it to that point.
Yes. And so my
And
biggest gripe with your conversations that you've shown is that you don't ask it questions. You make statements and claims at it instead of asking it things. So if you were to go all the way down and just copy and paste exactly what was the last thing that you said to it, and then just add at the end, comma, true or false, question mark. I feel
well,
like that might be worthwhile.
no, but see, this has got its own memory, so it's liable to agree with me again.
So can we see
So,
that? If you were to try that, I would just be curious as to what it would say because I
yeah, because
understand that you would.
it's got its own memory. So this is the way I
Yeah.
started out. It says the Earth isn't flat, neither is the universe flat in regard to time and distance and measure. And he says that is correct. The idea that the universe is flat or not flat refers to the curvature of space itself, not just the distance between galaxies. The evidence suggests that the universe is indeed very close to flat in terms of overall geometry. However, as you mentioned, the distance between galaxies is greatly expanded in outer space where there's no mass to contract distance. The resulting redshift over extreme distances. This is due to the effects of general relativity on the expansion of the universe. But he's still talking about an expansion of the universe.
Yeah,
So then,
we don't need to go through the entire thread. I just if we could go down to the end, and if you're still able to interact in this conversation thread, I'd be interested if you could just copy and paste the last thing that you said, and then just like comma, true or false. Because I notice you don't ask ChatGPT questions. You make statements, but none of them have question
uh,
marks.
I
Yeah.
could
So
do a regenerate. I could do a regenerate response.
wait, see if you can do a new thing. Like if you just copied and pasted that and then just add at the very end, comma, true or false. That's what I would be interested in seeing its response with.
Okay, because
Yeah.
this is like it has its own memory. Each conversation has its own memory.
And can we
You know that,
clean up
right?
the language here? So you don't need an expanding universe model, right? That would help clarify what we're talking about here. Okay, why do you type things in such confusing ways? Okay,
It's
I
got
guess it's not gonna let us.
it's well.
Okay.
It's I gotta refresh it. I gotta refresh the thing. Probably. I probably gotta refresh the whole thing.
Can we just share my screen then?
Well, but it has to be on this memory. I just let me go ahead and do what you asked it to do. Where's the thing? Oh, I just want to do what you asked it to do because I'm curious
Yeah.
myself whether or not it's going to say this, what it's going to say.
Yeah, I'm very curious as to what it's gonna say. Um, but yeah, do you understand my point about clarifying the language to like add like uh, you don't need an expanding universe model rather than you don't need an expanding universe so that it you're kind of it knows what you're talking about.
Well,
Um,
I'm just talking to it, and I'm actually having just a conversation. Is what I'm doing. I'm just having a conversation. That's all.
okay, I know,
And
but I think you're confusing it.
well, I mean, if it gets confused, it gets confused. But
Well, I think that a large part about why it's getting confused is the kind of language that you're using is confusing language. I think it's ambiguous. Like the way that you're
mm,
wording things, like you don't need an expanding universe when the distance between galaxies is expanded from the
yeah,
lack
but
of mass in the vicinity everywhere between galaxies. That's a confusing sentence, even to like a person. So, like the question that I asked it is the distance between galaxies expanded from the lack of mass between said galaxies? Or I also asked it, does general relativity and the large-scale distribution of mass alone explain the observed expansion of the universe? In both cases, it told me no. The expansion of the universe is not due to the lack of mass between galaxies. It said that
Well,
explicitly, and I can share my screen.
right, but in that case, you're talking about something different. You're talking about the expansion of the universe, and I'm talking about expanded space between galaxies.
Well, no, I asked it. Can I share my screen really quick to show you what I'm talking about? Let me just share screen here, and then okay.
Well, let me see.
Can you see my screen?
Let me go back.
Wait, Jungle, can we just please share my screen for just a second? Then you can go back to the conversation.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me see if I find where I am.
Yeah, you should be able
All
to see
right,
my screen.
because I mean, it's not a perfect thing, but I admit that it's
Okay.
gotta understand. It's got to understand what you're talking about, and it
Yes.
takes a while for it to understand what I'm talking about. I mean,
But,
I could go through a whole bunch of them
but you
where I
see my question here. I did not mention the expansion of the universe. I asked the distance between galaxies expanded. I used your language. I didn't say is expanding. I said expanded in the past. This is exactly in line with what you're talking about. The distance between galaxies, not the universe itself,
right
not space time. The distance between galaxies expanded. And I asked, is that due to the lack of mass between said galaxies? This is your exact claim. Like, exactly. I'm not putting in any assumptions or any language that you would disagree with.
right,
And
but
it's saying
but
it is not due to the lack of mass between galaxies.
but do you remember that it won't it's not going to understand what you're saying if you just ask the question flat out. You got to go through everything and explain to it in detail what you're talking about, and then maybe it'll understand you. But then again, I think they're probably tweaking the thing and making it harder and harder to for it to say something contrary to the consensus, because it's very very hard headed on the consensus. I mean, I'll ask it a question flat out, and it won't even respond to what the question I'm asking.
Oh,
And then finally, when it does, it'll just like say no, and without giving a reason. So
so
it's very 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 biased, very hard headed in that case.
so all that ChatGPT is doing is it's like taking in the available information sources like from Wikipedia or any data that it's trained on. It's trained on a whole lot, and it's just using like language patterns to like expand on text in like what would make sense. So it's not really doing any thinking. I mean, it's obviously sticking to the consensus because it's trained on the consensus. It's trained on the
Right,
data. So
right.
like yeah, it's going to stick with what it's been trained on. So you're trying to teach it new things. Like you're not asking it questions. You're trying to provide it with
Well,
new things that you want it to synthesize it to give it the
well,
answer you want.
but I can't program it. The only thing I can do is ask it in a way where it can understand what I'm saying. And you're right. All it is a word program. It's going to basically spout back to you whatever it can find on a web. Because there's one time I mean, there's many things that I have here recorded that I probably can't get it to say it again because it's just too biased against it.
Um, yeah, I
So
don't know.
let
Do
me
you think that that's like a point in your favor? Like I feel like that just makes it sound like it's unreliable, like what you're trying to like quote. Because the way that you quoted this in YouTube was like very definitive. Like I said this, ChatGPT said this, and it's leaving out all this extra qualifiers and context that we're now talking about, and it's just kind of making it seem like yeah, ChatGPT agrees with me. But it's leaving out a whole lot of background information that you had to go through to get it to agree with you.
it's yeah, but it's you have to be logical. You have to be logical. Okay, so let me just do a regenerate response again. I'll do a regenerate response for this one here. That is correct. the observed redshift, because see, this is a memory. This is from it can remember the whole entire conversation that I had, which is very very long, and and so here it is again. That is correct. The observed redshift of light from distant galaxies is a result of the expansion of space, which causes the distance between galaxies to increase over. Now it's getting off
Yeah, see,
on
now
a
it's not
tangent.
agreeing with you anymore now that you regenerated it.
It's
Now it's saying the Big
well,
Bang and the expansion of space.
it's a word program. It's just saying anything, and it's got a question here. Was this response better or worse?
So, yeah,
So I
if
have
you
to.
think that this is just a word program and it's saying anything and you can't take it as reliable information whenever you disagree with it, then why are you trying to use it as supporting evidence for your position in YouTube comments?
Be, because that can it's logic that can understand what I'm talking about, because people a lot of times can't understand what I'm talking about, because I've been talking to people, Steve McRae years ago, and they couldn't understand what I was saying. But the Chat GPT, once I explain everything, can. Now, let me lead through this here.
It
The
doesn't
observed
sound like
redshift of light from a distant galaxy is a result of the expansion of space, which causes the distance between galaxies to increase over time. This expansion of space is a prediction of the Big Bang model, but it's important to note that the expansion of space is not the same as the expansion of the universe. Expansion of space refers specifically to the stretching of the fabric of space itself, while the expansion of the universe is a broader concept that includes the evolution of matter and energy within the universe. This is talking gibberish now. Say worse.
yeah, so I think that you're kind of tailoring ChatGPT to get it to try to say what you want to say, and then you're quote mining it in YouTube comments to make it look like it's just agreed with you naturally and what you're saying is right, even though you've gone through great lengths to try to get it to say certain things. And you've acknowledged that if we just went in cold turkey without all that extra context, if we just asked it any of this stuff out of the blue, it would not agree with you.
Because it doesn't understand what I'm talking about, and that's the whole point of talking to a computer. Is that if you program the right information, that it can understand what you're talking about. But in this case, it's extremely biased every time. I mean, there's so many conversations that's very biased. Now, do you
Okay,
want to talk
so
about you want to talk about the content of the redshift, or you know what I'm talking about, right?
I don't necessarily want to sit here and reread the entire conversation or thread. If we want to do a new conversation with ChatGPT, I might be more interested in that, like a new one where we're asking it questions or anything you want to clarify. But if you just want to go in and just read, that just feels like a little bit dry to me. You know what I mean?
Well, well, it might be because I've already read through them all quite a bit,
Yeah.
but
So, I mean, it would be more interesting if we were to do a conversation from scratch or something, and then maybe we could see where that
okay. From
conversation went if we were trying to train
All
it.
right, so we'll do a new chat. See if we can do a new chat here. This one's a little bit complicated, but it works eventually.
Okay. Uh, are we going to be sticking on the topic of cosmology or a different one?
Yeah, cosmology. I'll try to explain the same thing, basically, right?
Okay.
So, I'll just say in general relativity,
So you're saying in general relativity, the distance between galaxies is greatly expanded when compared to where we are near Sagittarius.
Gotta keep it simple.
Okay, so in general relativity, the distance. Okay, well, yeah, ChatGPT does like to answer in 4 paragraphs at a time. But okay, wait, the last paragraph usually just is a summary of everything else that they said. So what does the last paragraph say?
3 or 4 in general relativity, universe
Just the
in a
last
universe
paragraph.
that is expanding. Well, I gotta read what it's saying so I
Well,
can know
usually
how to
the
respond.
last paragraph summarizes the preceding paragraphs. Everything, it kind of makes a summary statement at the very end. That's how
Right.
all their
But I
statements.
have to see the points it's making, because in a universe that is expanding, I need to know that. However, the distance in galaxies can also be affected here. See this? The distance between galaxies can also be affected by the curvature of space-time,
Well, yes, of
which
course.
can be influenced by the presence of massive
Yes.
objects such as
Yes.
black holes and
Of
galaxies.
course.
Okay.
Of course.
Near
I'm not disagreeing
Sagittarius,
with you on that.
near Sagittarius A, which is a supermassive black hole, that center of Milky Way. We know that. The curvature of space-time is very different from that in the regions between galaxies. As a result, the distance
Mhm.
between galaxies near the center of the Milky Way would be expected to differ significantly from the distances between galaxies in other regions of the universe. Okay, overall, the expansion of the universe, curvature of space-time both play important roles determining the distances between galaxies, and the effects each can vary on the specific location, distribution, or matter with energy. Okay, well,
So
that's the first.
I want to just say I agree with everything ChatGPT has said so far.
Okay, so then that the redshift. So
Like space-time curvature due to massive gravitational objects does warp space and time and change distances. Yes.
the redshift that we observe near oops.
Before you press enter on these,
Can't wait too long.
okay, well, you can, but so, oh man, hey man, I just asked you not to do that yet. Come on, you can you can you put a
See,
question mark?
this is why I can't wait so long,
Why can't you wait so long?
because it'll disconnect
It
if I wait
won't
too
do that
long.
for me. I can type out these questions and we can wait. We don't have to do them right away. Is that okay? You can
Uh,
say the question out loud and then I'll type it.
well, maybe, but hold on a second. Let me
Well,
see if
come
I
on.
can get
Okay,
this
man,
fixed.
you're a pretty slow typer, and you didn't even put a question mark in your sentence. Can we at least make the sentences grammatically correct for the machine that's trained on grammar?
Uh, it
It can't
well, like,
understand what you're saying if you're not using proper grammar.
it'll understand. No, it'll agree or disagree with what you say.
But it needs to understand what you're saying, and I think that you're confusing it by not using proper grammar.
Distances and
It's
relativity.
literally a language. It's a language modeling software. It's all about the language that you use.
Yeah, so you can use
Oh,
whatever
okay, add a question mark.
It's supposed to understand anything I say, right?
No, it's not. So add a question mark. The redshift. Okay, come on, man. You didn't even do it. Oh God. Can I please type the questions if you're gonna be like this?
No, wait. No, the redshift observed near Average is not primarily due to the expansion of the unit. Oh, now it's saying it's not even due to the expansion of the universe. Redshift refers to the light Toward longer wavelengths, it can be caused by a number of different factors, including
Yes.
relative motion and
Yes.
observer
What it
wavelength
is saying is
variables.
accurate.
The redshift observed is primarily cause of gravitational influence of
Yes.
supermassive black hole.
Yes.
This gravitational redshift occurs because the intense gravity of black hole causes the wavelength of the light to be. Yeah, we know what it is. However, the expansion of the universe, see, it's understanding the expansion of the universe. It's thinking expansion of the universe. I'm
Yeah,
not talking
because
about.
you're not using precise enough language,
No,
man.
I'm not.
You're at fault for
You
this.
got to explain to it. I'm not talking about the expansion of
I
the
know. That's
universe.
why I stopped. I wanted to stop you, Jungle. The reason was not
Expanded
Jungle. Come
distance.
on, man. The
But
reason.
it takes
Oh my
time for
God.
it to understand
Jungle,
what I'm
stop,
saying.
stop, stop. If you had listened to me, it would have understood, because what I wanted you to add to the question was to clarify exactly this. Because the reason it's confused is because your question is ambiguous. What you need to add is due to the expanded distance, due to the expansion of the universe. When you just said
No,
expanded
but
distance,
that's not what I want to say. That's not what I want to say. I don't
well, you're
want to
not
say
being
anything.
specific. You need to be
I don't want to
specific.
say anything to do with the expansion of the universe. I'm not talking about the expansion of the universe.
Then you need to clarify in your question.
Well, but that's what I said. That's
No,
what
you
I
didn't.
said. Expanded
Expanded
distance.
distance could be due to
So this is what
redshift.
I'm
Wait,
saying.
can I finish this sentence? The expanded
It takes
distance.
forever. It
Jungle.
takes forever for me to get it to understand what I'm saying.
That's your fault, though. That is your fault, because you're not
No,
asking it specific enough questions. You're not. You're being ambiguous with your language, and you're trying to
no,
blame
because
ChatGPT.
you were
Jungle,
going to you were going to
you even said earlier that
because
other
even
humans.
you were talking about the expansion of the universe. I'm not talking about the expansion of the
Then
universe.
you need to clarify that in your question. You're at fault here. You
It's
even
right
said,
here.
yeah,
It's right
okay.
here due to
So
the
jungle,
expanded
jungle,
distance between
jungle,
galaxies.
jungle. The expanded distance could be due to the
Okay,
expansion of the
okay, hold
universe.
on. I'll explain it better. But see, this is what I have to do. I mean, it's supposed to understand what I'm talking
I tried
about.
to troubleshoot you and help you to avoid this, but you just went and asked a
No,
question
I
immediately.
know what to say. I
No,
know what
you
to say.
don't. You don't, man.
Yeah,
I tried to help
from
you. Okay.
the lack of
No,
matter
no, no. Clarify, not from the expansion of the universe,
between galaxies.
and not
Okay.
from the expansion of the universe. Clarify that, and not
Okay.
from the expansion of the universe.
And not from the expansion of the universe.
Question mark. Add a question mark. No,
Well,
not a.
I'm making a statement.
No,
I'll
no,
make
no. You're not making a
statements and
statement.
it
You are making a
responds.
question. Come on, man. Be grammatic. Oh my God,
I
Jungle.
make statements and it'll respond. It understands. It
Why are you
understands. It's
so
not
opposed to asking a question?
because I'm making statements.
You're making it. You
Actually,
really
the
are making a
redshift
question.
observed near Saturn is not primarily due to the expansion. See, it's still thinking expansion of the universe.
It answered both. It said due to the. It's not due to the expansion or the lack of
The
matter.
lack of matter.
It said not due to both, because
As I
it's a
mentioned earlier, the redshift
gravitational.
observed is primarily gravitational influence.
Yes, that's what
Yeah,
it said
which
in
is
the
the
last
same
answer.
thing.
Yes, exactly.
Gravitational influence of a supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way, which causes wavelength of
Yes,
light to lengthen as
yes,
it escapes a strong
yes.
gravitational field.
No one is disagreeing with that, Jungle. There's no disagreement about that.
Oh, so it's saying the same thing.
Yeah, it's saying the same thing as its last answer. Yeah.
So it's
It literally.
contradicting itself.
No, it's
So
not.
it's
It literally said the
contradicting
exact
itself,
same thing in the
which
last
it
answer.
does. It contradicts itself all the
No,
time.
no, it hasn't contradicted itself. Show how. Where's
The
the
expansion
contradiction?
of the universe, it just did.
Where's the contradiction? Show me.
Because it's from our location near the supermassive. The redshift observed near Sagittarius is primarily by the gravitational influence of the supermassive black hole at the
Yes.
center of the Milky Way, which causes the
Yes.
wavelength of the light to lengthen as it escapes
Yes.
strong gravitational field.
Exactly. So where's the contradiction?
Because it just said it's not due to the
Yes.
or the lack of matter. Because
Yes.
It's still understanding the
No,
expansion of the
no,
universe. It's
dude.
not.
Read that
It's not
sentence.
understanding. It's
No,
not
it
understanding the
literally is.
expanded distance yet.
Dude, it literally is. It just said it's not from the expansion of the universe. It's not from the lack of matter between galaxies. It's because of all of that gravitational mass of the black hole. There's no contradiction there.
But it's not. It didn't understand my question. What
It
I
did.
said
It
though.
answered your question.
No,
It
because it
totally understood what
contradicted
you asked.
itself. Because this here explains it. The expansion of the universe. Still talking expansion of the universe.
It says it does not play because you asked it in the question, and it's answering you. It does not play a significant
Near
role.
Sagittarius A. Because
Yes,
it's a, because this. I'm not talking about this though. It's understanding this. I'm not talking about that.
and it's telling you that that's not playing a role.
The
Yes.
effect of the expansion of the universe, redshift
There,
galaxies
look
much
at that
smaller
last
than the
paragraph.
gravitational
Last
redshift.
paragraph. It is important to note that the lack of matter between galaxies does not directly cause redshift either. While the distribution of matter in the universe can affect the geometry of space-time and the
Okay,
expansion of the
now
universe,
now
it does not cause
watch
redshift in the
this.
same way.
Watch
Come on,
this when I
man.
explain to it a little bit better. The more I explain to it, the more it's going to understand.
Okay. I don't see why you think that this is helping your case.
Well, it's because I'm understanding what general relativity, what the effects are. And then when I explain it to it and it does understand, then it agrees with me. Because I didn't say anything about what I'm saying right now.
Oh, fine. Ask your question.
Okay. Where we are inside of the Milky Way, um,
Compared to what? Time is slowed down compared to what? Oh, well, yeah, of course. That's just special relativity. Well, general relativity too. I
general
mean,
relativity. Yeah, general relativity. Between galaxies,
somebody in chat was getting on to me because I said, "Oh my God" or something. Even though I'm an atheist, I just want to clarify it's a like a phrase, a term of language. Uh, obviously, like a way of speaking, like Jesus Christ, or it's an exclamation.
yeah. See, distance, where distance is greatly expanded in time is, of course, if it's easier for me to do this without somebody yelling at me while I'm doing it, but anyways,
Why do you think the distance is greatly expanded? Like it would just not be contracted, right?
yeah, it's greatly expanded because there's no
Wait,
matter. There's no
that's not
matter
true.
to
Yeah, that doesn't mean it's expanded. That just means it's not contracted. You understand that there's a
between.
difference. Do you think that there's not a difference between those statements? If something is
See,
not
this is
contracting,
not even correct. This is not even correct. What it's saying. It can be
what is
influenced.
what is wrong about what it's saying? It is not
Well,
accurate to say that time is necessarily slowed down inside the Milky Way and accelerated between galaxies. In general relativity, the passage of time is affected by the curvature of space-time, which can be influenced by the distribution of matter and energy. That sounds
it doesn't
accurate.
even know what it's saying. You got to explain to it every little detail, otherwise it's going to be confused. Near
So
massive objects such as black hole, the curvature of space-time is more pronounced than time dilation can occur. We know what it is. Time passes more slowly for the observer closer to the black hole. Right. So light. So then you just have to keep on asking. So light.
while it's true that the geometry of spacetime can vary in different regions of the universe, it is not accurate to describe this variation in terms of a simple contraction of or expansion of distance. And that's accurate. Like space-time is curved, it's not necessarily like contracted like you're thinking of.
Okay. Because I can't think very well with people yelling at me. That's just the way I am. I had
Well,
teachers that yelled
maybe
at me, and I couldn't think when they were yelling at me.
maybe
To the
I should.
great amount of expanded distance between galaxies. So light from distant galaxies passes through a great amount of expanded distance between galaxies. Um,
George Bond asked, "Why doesn't atheism have its own terms to use?" Obviously, because like the culture that I got those terms from is from like movies and people around me, and that's American culture. So obviously, American culture is going to have its own phrases, and I'm picking up from American culture. There's no such thing as atheism culture. It's not a
uh,
uniform culture.
the redshift between, by the time we see it in our uh,
So you're saying so the light from a distant galaxy passes through a great amount of expanded distance between galaxies, which causes the redshift. But that could be from expansion of the universe. You're not being specific enough, um, because yeah, that could just be from the universal expansion. You haven't clarified.
no, it has nothing to do with an
But
expansion.
I know. But in your
Universal
question,
expansion.
when you say that when you say light from a distant galaxy passes through a great amount of expanded distance between galaxies, that could be from the expansion of the universe. You haven't clarified to ChatGPT what you're talking about. It's going to confuse.
No,
It's going to confuse it, and it's going to talk about the
compared,
expansion of the universe.
which causes redshift by the time we see it in our contracted distance and slower time.
Yeah, but like this is a confusing question to ask it because you haven't specified that you're not talking
Actually,
about the expansion
correct.
of
So light
space-time.
from a distance passes through a great amount of distance between galaxies causes a redshift by the
Yeah.
time we see it in our contracted
Yeah, do you
measure
understand? Do
or
you understand?
contracted measure of
Yeah, do you understand how what I'm saying is like it, you haven't you haven't uh what you're asking for could just be within the model of an expanding universe. Okay.
there you go. That's correct. Light
Yeah,
from
because it's
distant
talking about
galaxy can
universal
pass through a
expansion, dude.
great amount of distant galaxy.
Oh my god. Do you Are you not
However, it's
listening or
not
do you not
how to
understand
describe
what
the
I'm saying?
distance of the galaxies where
Jungle, do
we
you not
are.
understand what I'm saying or are you just not listening?
Geometry of space drive nearby is curved, which can affect the measurements of distance and time. But see, he just contradicted himself again. He says it's not contracted. He says it's curved, and then it affects the measurement of distance and time.
Yeah, those are not
Cause
contradictions.
the light to be deflected, but see, I'm not even talking. I didn't even ask about light deflected. Okay, make it
You
appear
did ask
as if.
about light. You asked about redshift. That's about light.
Well, yeah, or time. I was thinking time. It causes light to be deflected and make it appear as if the distance object in a different position than it would be in flat space time. Similarly, strong gravitational field near a black hole can cause time dilation, making it time appear to
Just
pass.
read the
See,
last
there's time.
sentence. The
There's time right
expansion.
there. I'm not asking. I'm not asking
I know.
about
Hey,
time.
the last sentence. The expansion of the universe affects the entire universe on a large scale and can cause redshift in the light from distant galaxies. So exactly what I told you before you even asked the question. You asked the question incorrectly because you don't want to talk about the expansion of the universe. But your question was asking about the expansion of the
No, but
universe.
it'll. I mean, I just keep have to ask and explain it to it what I'm talking about.
Well, you're not explaining it well enough. I'm trying to help you, but you keep ignoring me.
Yeah, but he said it was not first. First, he said it's not due to that. He said it first. He said it doesn't affect it that
Where?
much.
Where?
In the beginning, he says,
Yeah,
"Oh, it's not.
he
It
was.
doesn't make
It
that
was
much a
only
difference.
talking about near Sagittarius A,
Does
dude.
not directly cause redshift
Yeah,
either."
the lack of matter between galaxies does not cause directly redshift. That's what you asked about. That's what you claim is causing
No, what
redshift.
he says either way. He said either
No, he
way.
doesn't say. It's being very clear. You're just not
No, he
understanding.
did
And
say either way. It says the
yeah,
effect.
no, you're misunderstanding what it's been said so far already, and it's only agreed with me and not you so far this entire time.
Well, stop making up stuff.
No, I'm not. You could read what
It
it
just
said.
it just says it just says it is correct that a light
Because
from a
yeah,
distant galaxy can pass
because
through
of
a
the
great amount
expansion
of
of the
expanded
universe.
distance between galaxies before it reaches us.
Yes,
And this can cause redshift in the light.
due to the
Stop
expansion of the
lying.
universe. Due to the expansion
Stop
of the universe.
lying.
Due to the
Stop
expansion of the
lying,
universe. That's not lying.
Jason. I mean Grayson.
That's not lying, dude. Literally, your
It
question
just
did
it
not. Your
just
question,
said what
Jungle.
I said right
No,
there.
no, Jungle.
You
Your
said
question.
you said it
Oh
only
my
agrees
god.
with the thing is contradicting itself left and
No,
right.
no, it's
And
not.
you said that it's only agreeing with you.
It
You
is.
lied,
No,
and you said
no.
and you lied before when you said it didn't say what it said.
Jungle. Can I
You
just get
you
this out here?
said that I made it up.
Jungle,
I'm
please.
not making it up, and you can see right
Okay.
here.
Okay, I'm
This
letting
can
you talk.
cause a red shift in light.
I'm letting you talk. Are you going to let me finish a sentence before you interrupting me?
No,
Okay.
because you're saying it only agrees with you,
Yes, it does.
and
And
you
I can
said
explain
before
why.
that I like right
If you would
here.
stop
It's not
interrupting me, I'll
only
explain
agreeing with
myself.
you.
If you
It's
stop
not
interrupting,
only
if you
agreeing with
stop
you.
interrupting, I'll explain it. I'll explain it if you just don't interrupt, please. When it says that it
You
is,
just
oh,
all you
Jungle, I'm trying
want
to
to
explain it, man.
do.
I'm trying to explain it, man. Come on.
No, all you want to do is say, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about,
No, I'm
and it's
explaining it,
wrong, and
man.
it's
You're cutting
wrong,
me off from
and
making an
I'm right,
explanation.
and you're wrong." That's all you
Jungle.
want to do. That's all
No,
you
that's
want to
not what
do
I want
all
to
day
do.
long.
Jungle, that's not
That's
what I
all
want
you
to do.
do in your
That's not
debates
what I
all
want
day
to do.
long. That's all you do. You say,
Jungle,
"Nuh-uh,
no.
it's because I
No.
say so,"
No, let
and
me
so there,
answer. Let me answer. Go up and
and
I will
so
read what
there,
it said.
and so that's your form of argument. You don't
No,
have evidence. You're not
Jungle.
talking the evidence.
Jungle. Let me read the sentence. It is correct that scroll up a little bit. You scrolled past it. It is correct that light from a distant galaxy can pass through a great amount of expanded space between galaxies before it reaches us that causes the redshift in light. Yes, that is true in an expansion of universe model. That's why it's agreeing with you, because you have not precluded
No,
the expansion of the universe in your
the
question. You
amount.
need to preclude it.
No, it's talking
Okay, ask
amount
the
of
same question.
expanded distance between galaxies.
Yes, that happens in a space-time expansion of the universe. The expanded
No, it's the
distance between
distance. It's
galaxies.
only the distance
Okay,
between galaxies that's
okay.
expanded.
Jungle, let's try it then.
But that's because he's got expansion on
Jungle,
the brain.
Jungle, let's ask the exact same question. Copy and paste the
He's
question. Copy and paste the question, please. But
I'm
this
not
time,
going to ask you about the expansion of the
no,
universe because
I
it's
know
got
that's what I'm saying,
expansion on the
Jungle. That's
brain.
what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm asking you to do, man. Can you just do this for me? Can you please just copy the question and paste it? But this time, preclude the expansion of the universe in your question. Say explicitly not the expansion of the
Well,
universe.
I
Can you
already
say
did
that?
that. I
Can you
already
say
did that
that, man?
before in this other
No, can you
conversation. You
do
want to
that with
see
this
it?
question? Why are you afraid to do that, man?
You
Come
want to
on.
see it? I already did it right
No,
here.
I want you to
I
do
already
that in
did
the
it in
new
this other
chat. Jungle, you're
conversation.
running. You are running. Do it in the new chat.
Well, you can see it's going to do
Stop
the same
running.
thing.
I want you to do it. Come on, man.
You can see it's going to do the
Why are you
same
going to
thing.
every single tab on your computer instead of just copy pasting the question?
Well,
But
Grayson, it took me hours to explain the thing to get it to where it could understand what I was saying. And with you yelling at me, I can't formulate the question
Then I'll do
to
it.
get it to
I will type the
understand.
questions.
I can't formulate the question to get it to understand what I'm
Hey,
saying.
Jungle, I will type the questions. I'm a faster typer than you, and you can just dictate to me what to type. Okay? It's problem solved. Just let me ask it the questions. That solves all the issues.
No, I don't. No, I don't touch it because you'll put question marks where I don't want. You'll change
And
wording.
I'll do it what you want, man. I won't change the question.
Has to be my question.
Okay.
It has to be my
Okay.
question so I can understand what I'm saying.
Okay. Deal. I agree. I've shared my screen.
Okay, hold on a second.
Now you can dictate what questions you want to ask it. It'll be faster this way.
Well, it'll be faster if you stop yelling at me.
Well, it'll be faster this way because it won't matter.
So
it
we
won't
got
matter
it. We got it to agree it can cause redshift in the light. Okay.
Okay, so what do you want me to ask it? We can ask about anything. Cosmology or the other topics that you wanted to ask about.
Yeah, we can go to another subject. You want to go to another subject then?
Yeah, I don't want to just redo exactly what we just did on your end, but I do want to type the questions myself because it'll go faster.
No, you just want to confuse everything.
Nope, I won't. If you
want to twist everything and say, see, I'm right and you're wrong. That's all you
Jungle.
Want us to do.
Jungle, if you do not agree on the question, I will not ask it. If we do not agree,
I will not ask what the truth is.
No, Jungle.
You don't please, care about
I'm trying to work with you, man. I'm trying to work with you and be nice. If you do not agree with the question, I will not ask it, man. I'm giving you that promise. Can you just come on, man? Let's do it.
Well, I'm just saying it takes a long time for me to explain to it what I'm saying, what I'm talking about, because it's got expansion on the brain.
Can we just come on, man? I'm sharing my screen with you. Can I ask it the questions that you want to ask it? Why are you not letting this happen? I'm not going to do anything that you don't agree with, and you can
because I can't think with you yelling at me. I can't think with you yelling at me. I'm not made that way.
Well, yeah, but I'm the one that's typing the questions, so it won't matter whether or not anyone's yelling. I can type the questions. You can just tell me what to ask.
No, but I have to think. I have to be able to think what to say.
That's fine. Why don't you just let me type like any of these questions? I don't understand why you're so.
Why did you want me to let me type? Because it's starting.
Because you're such a slow typer. Right? It's
you
because
don't want
so
me to type because it's starting to agree with me, right? Okay,
no, because you're so slow at typing, and it has not started to agree with you.
Let's go to another topic then.
Okay, then let me ask the questions. Just share my screen. And we can go to any topic you want.
Here.
Why don't you just share my screen? If you share my screen, we can go to any topic you want.
No, because it's recorded here. It's not recorded on yours.
I know, but we can do a new conversation topic. And I can type in any of the questions so it can go quickly. And I don't have the connectivity issues that you do.
No, it's just, well, whatever.
I mean, I'm not trying to screw you over, man. I'm not trying to change the question.
You want to prove your point.
No, I really don't, man. I want to do this in a way that is
you called me a liar. You said it wasn't saying it, then it was saying it, and then you said you can't do it again. Now I'm doing it again, and now you're having a problem.
No, you haven't. Come on, man. Why are you being so difficult about this?
Well, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, you've just been going through different tabs and refreshing things for like 5 minutes now when you could have this could have already been streamlined. I could have asked it 5 questions by now.
Well, if you stop yelling at me, maybe I can ask it a question.
Well, okay, share my screen and ask a question.
But you wanted to know how I got to say what it said.
Yeah, and we can do that on my screen. You can literally read the questions on your screen, and I can type them on my screen.
Yeah, but it's not going to work because it's not
Oh,
going to
it's
be
not going to
asking my
work now. Why
questions.
not?
Because you're not going to ask my questions.
I'm going to ask your exact questions, Jungle. You have my promise. I'm going to ask your freaking questions, man.
And you're yelling at me, and I can't even think straight to
Oh
ask a
my
question.
God. Jungle. Oh,
Curvature of space-time near a black hole cause light to be defective because you gotta understand where it's coming. We got to read the whole statement to know where it's coming
yeah.
from to be
And
able to respond
I'll
to it.
do all that, man. I'll do it faster. It's just the
Yeah, but it
slowness.
takes time. It's not going to be right away. It takes time, and I
That's
got to be
then
able
let's do
to.
it, man. Why are you like you're just procrastinating at this point? You're trying to kill time.
No, because it's already starting to agree with me.
Okay, finally, somebody in the chat has asked an actual question. Redefine Living said, for Grayson, ask it, are there other explanations for redshift? Okay, ChatGPT, are there
That's not what
other
I want to know. That's
explanations
not what I want to know.
of redshift? Well, I'm doing that on my screen right now because you're not doing anything on your screen. You're literally just running away from this.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not running.
Yes, you
You're
are. Then share
yelling.
my
You're
screen.
yelling at
Share my
me, and
screen
you're
if you're
not
not
allowing
yelling.
me to think through
Share
this
my
thing so I can
screen.
understand what it's saying.
Share my screen.
Okay, the geometry of space-time near a black hole is curved, which can affect the measurement of time and distance. It just contradicted itself.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did. Similarly, strong gravitational field in the black hole, time dilation, making time appear to pass slowly for the observer. It's important to know that the effects of curvature of space-time near a black hole are local and do
See,
not
this
affect
is
the
so
entire
boring
universe.
to listen
The
to, Jungle.
expansion of the universe, on the other hand, stop yelling at me.
You're just reading.
You're
You're,
slowing me down. I'm trying to understand what the thing is thinking.
it's not thinking anything, man. Come on.
Well, if I don't address what it's saying, it's not going to correct itself.
Dude, this is so painful. Why are you doing this?
I told you it takes hours.
Why don't you just share my screen, Jungle?
I told you it takes hours, and you're yelling at me.
Just share my screen. I'm not yelling anymore.
And I don't know why. If you wanted to print out what you wanted to say,
Nope. I
you could
don't want that.
spend hours
I don't want
working
that.
on it
I don't
on
want
your
that.
end, and I'll spend hours on my end.
I don't want that. All I want is to type the questions and read the answers out loud instead of you doing it because it would be twice as fast. That's it.
Well, I can't even think straight with somebody yelling at me. I'm not wired that way.
Well,
So
you
the
can
more
read
you
it on my
yell,
screen
the more time it's going to take, the more you yell.
because it's really slow, dude. That's why. Okay, I can read. If Redefine Living is asking what did it say, I did ask it. Can I
However,
please
important
answer
to
it for
note,
Redefine Living in the chat? If you would just share my screen, I can show
expansion
him
of
the
the
answer.
universe, on the other hand, affects the entire
Jungle,
universe on a large scale.
Jungle, your own chat is asking for what my screen says. Okay. Well, everyone, we're gonna have to listen to just utter silence while Jungle
Um,
types these answers out.
yeah, keep yelling. I'm
I'm not
only
even
asking
yelling.
about
Everyone loves listening to dead air and silence.
what we see.
Oh, this is so painful to listen to.
I'm only asking about from what we see inside the Milky Way galaxy. Well, I can't even think straight to ask a decent question.
You just can't think straight. Period. End of sentence.
No, because I got to say or understand what I was saying, and it agreed with me.
No, dude. You didn't even understand that it's not agreeing with you. You mistyped the question. It's agreeing with what you asked, but you're not.
I
It's
have a
because
whole
you're
bunch of
ambiguous.
conversations in all different subjects here where it's agreeing with me.
It's because your language is ambiguous and you're confusing it. And it
No,
can be
because
wrong.
it takes a while for it to understand.
It's literally not capable of understanding. It is literally just like it's taking the language that you're giving it and it's you're training it on that language, and it's repeating it back to you. That's all that's happening.
No, because it has to be logical. I'm not
No,
even
it
asking a
doesn't. It does
decent
not have to
question.
be logical. No, it does not. It only has to make
It
grammatical sense.
has to. It can't be. It can't be. Have incorrect logic. I
No,
mean,
it can. It's literally only
even
about
though
language.
it contradicts itself,
It's
but you have
only
to
about
explain it.
language, Jungle. It's not about logic. It doesn't understand logic. It only understands language, the structure of
It
language.
is logical. It is logical. It does understand logic because it understands what I'm saying and when I explain to it.
Like, I'll just ask it, can ChatGPT be illogical?
Well, just read the
Here we go.
introductory
Here's
thing.
what ChatGPT said. I may generate responses that are illogical or nonsensical from a human perspective due to the limitations of my programming. That's what
From the
ChatGPT
human
said.
perspective, yeah. Well,
That's what
what did I
ChatGPT
just say?
says. You said that it's always
I
logical.
said read the advisory and you'll find out that it's not always correct.
Here, it says, I am not infallible and may make mistakes or generate output that is not accurate or logical. That's what
All I'm
ChatGPT
saying
says.
is that this helps me explain what I am saying, what I am thinking.
Doki Doki in the chat explains it perfectly. He said, the AI will agree with Grayson and Jungle after several attempts, and it's even possible it would disagree with both Jungle and Grayson. It's a computer, it can be
The
confused.
expansion, see, this is what you have to say. You have to explain the expansion is an assumption.
Okay. Say the expansion is an assumption. True or false? And yeah.
No, I'm not going to, you're not going to tell me what to ask it.
Hey,
Now
redefine living.
stop. You're messing up my train of thought.
Redefine living. I did ask your question. I have the
You're
answer, but
messing up
Jungle
my
will not
train of
let me.
thought on purpose, intentionally. The
I'm
expansion is
not, dude.
an assumption. General relativity, general.
Redefine living. I would like to answer your question, but Jungle will not let me. Now you're literally just stating like incorrect claims.
See, that's where you're wrong, Grayson. I'm not stating anything incorrectly. The expansion is an assumption. It's not an observation, and it's an assumption. It's greatly expanded.
Then why are you afraid to ask true or false
I'm
after?
not afraid. Stop yelling at me.
Then ask true or false.
Why are you afraid for me to ask questions so it can
You're not
understand what I'm
asking a
saying?
question. You're making a statement here. It's not a
General
question.
relativism being conferred. The lack of matter between galaxies causes the space between galaxies to be greatly expanded.
True or false? Question mark.
No, causing redshift. You're not going to tell me what to ask it because you don't understand.
And why don't I just ask it
What
the same
I'm
exact thing, but I'll add true or
thinking.
false, and it'll tell you false.
No, because you don't
If
have to
I
say
ask
true
it
or
exactly
false.
what you're asking it, if I ask it
Why do you
exactly what
say
you're
true?
asking,
You don't have to say true or false. You don't have to say
but
true or
if you ask it
false.
true or false, it will tell you false. It will tell you what you're saying is false if you ask it. Why
No,
don't you ask it? It'll tell you.
because that's not my question. Because I'm not asking a question. I'm making statements, and it'll either agree or disagree with me. So stop yelling at me. The lack of matter between galaxies causes the space between galaxies to be greatly expanded, causing redshift.
It causes the space between galaxies to be greatly expanded. Causes the space between.
They say it's wasted so long. He's yelled at me for such a long time. I have to refresh the whole thing again.
I'm asking you the exact same question, but I'm adding true or false at the end. Let's see what it says.
You're not having the same conversation that I just had. It's not the same memory. That's why I said you talk on your end, and then I'll talk on my end and
All
see what
right.
we can come
Here's
up
the
with.
answer. Here's the answer. It is not accurate to say that the lack of matter between galaxies directly causes redshift. Rather, it's the expansion of the universe that causes the redshift. That's a quote from ChatGPT. If you would show my
Because it
screen,
doesn't remember the conversation.
well, then why
Because
don't
it
you
doesn't
ask it?
remember the conversation.
But you will refuse to ask it that question in the conversation. Like I ask you to ask it the question, and you say you won't do it. So I ask, and then you say, "Oh, but it doesn't have the conversation I had."
That's not my
But then you
question.
refuse to ask it. So then why don't
It's
you
not
ask it
my
what I asked?
question. It's not my
Because
question. It's not the question that I'm asking.
You are running away from the question. You don't want to
No,
ask it the
you're
question
running
because
away
you
from
know
the
it'll
fact
disagree.
of how I got it to understand what I was saying. Now, if
But
you
you
just
know
want to
it'll
go back
disagree
and
if you
forth
ask
the
it.
whole time, all you want to do is just derail the whole conversation and say, I'm right, you're wrong. That's all you ever
I didn't
do.
derail. I didn't derail anything. I literally asked it the
That's
same
all
thing
you
that you
ever
did.
want to do is say, I'm right, you're wrong. So there.
No,
Instead of
I
talking
just
about what
want
the evidence is, you're not even talking about what the evidence is. The
Jungle. What
expansion is
evidence?
an assumption. The expansion is an assumption because of the Big Bang assumption.
Okay, then I'll ask it that. Is the expansion of the universe an observation or an assumption?
Ask your own questions on your own time
That's what I'm doing
and
right
then
now.
come back to me with it.
The expansion of the universe is an observation that has been confirmed through a variety of measurements and observations.
Yeah, right. As if,
That's what I'm reading you
as
what
if,
it's saying. I'm reading you what ChatGPT is saying.
right.
It's not
Yeah,
an
that's the
assumption.
consensus. That's the consensus.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that the Big Bang happened. You're you're extrapolating, saying, "Oh, that proves the Big Bang." It doesn't mean the Big Bang
No,
happened.
I'm not. I haven't said anything about proving the Big Bang. All I'm saying is talking about what ChatGPT says. That's what this is about you trying to cherry pick and change what ChatGPT says to make it look like it agrees with your position.
I didn't cherry pick. I explained to it what I was talking to, and then as you can see, as it starts understanding my question, you don't want to me to
It
continue to
doesn't
ask you
understand
questions.
your question. I'm going to ask Doki's question. He asks, what is the best debate channel on YouTube? So I'm going to ask ChatGPT. And just so you guys know, my channel will not be in the running because I started mine in 2023 and ChatGPT only goes through 2021.
Well, this thing is a real pain, and you're not making it any better.
Well, it never does that for me. If all you do is just change it to my screen, all this will
You
go
are
away.
correct, Grayson. Grayson, here it is. You are correct. There you go. If you stop yelling at me, you are correct that the expansion of the universe is just an
It's
assumption.
not just an assumption.
But it has been confirmed by multiple,
Yes.
including cosmic
Yes.
redshift from Guinness. Okay.
Owned.
Well, it doesn't mean it's right.
What does it agree with you with again,
mean the
Jungle?
Big Bang is right.
Where's the agreement there,
I'm
Jungle?
saying what?
Where's the
It
agreement there?
doesn't
It
mean
just
it's
disagreed
right.
with you. It just disagreed with you, buddy.
I'm telling you that they keep tweaking this stuff.
Oh, now the
They make
magical
it
devs are
agree with the
tweaking it.
consensus.
Oh, they can't have
Instead
it
of
agreeing with you, so they have to tweak it now.
it reasoning and having good logic, they're making it agree with the consensus.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh, cope, buddy. This is all just cope.
No, wait,
You
hold
think
on,
that
hold
the
on.
devs, you think that the devs have
Hold
gone
on,
back?
hold on. Hold on, hold your horses. Don't get too excited. Don't get too
Okay,
excited.
just to answer what Doki was asking,
Because
I asked
it
ChatGPT.
didn't even
Okay,
it didn't
okay,
understand what I said.
okay. Ask your question again, and let me just answer Doki here. ChatGPT says that the best debate channels on YouTube are Intelligence Squared Debates, Oxford Union, Monk Debates, TED Debates, and Big Think. So let me know if you guys like ChatGPT's
So
taste.
those are the worst debates ever.
You don't
Some
like
of them anyway.
ChatGPT's taste, huh?
No,
I really wish that you would just
I
share
don't
my
like
screen.
to. I don't believe the consensus.
Jungle, I
I don't
really just
believe the
wish that you would share my
consensus.
screen. I just wish you would share my screen, dude.
See, I apologize for my previous response. Okay, now see what it says here. Apologize for my previous response. While general relativity has indeed been confirmed by many experiences, observation, the expansion of the universe is not solely based on assumption, but rather supported by multiple lines of redshift.
Okay,
That's
Jungle,
why
can I ask you?
you can't even talk about the consensus because it's got consensus on the brain. It's got
Can
expansion
I
on the
just read
brain
the
and
answers
Big
aloud
Bang
instead
on the
of
brain,
you? Just because I can
including
enunciate. Jungle, can
including the
I just read?
redshift.
Can I read the answers out loud instead? Will you let me do that? The lack of matter
No,
between galaxies.
because
But
I have to understand what it's saying. The lack of
but you
matter
can read
between
it and
galaxies
listen to
does
me.
indeed contribute. You're yelling at me.
I don't know.
Gravitation as matter provides. See, I can't do this with somebody yelling at me. However,
Then let
expansion
me
is
read
not
it.
solely the cause of lack of matter between.
Just let me read it. The
See,
expansion is not
it's
solely
not even
caused
understanding. And the
because it's
more you
disagreeing
yell at
with
me,
you.
the
It's
no,
literally just
it's not
disagreeing with
even
you.
understanding what I'm saying.
You say it's not understanding,
It's
but you only
thinking
say
that
that because it's disagreeing. You only say that because it's disagreeing with
the
you.
expansion is the reason for the lack of matter between galaxies. It's not even making sense. When the
The
light from
expansion
distant
is not
galaxies
solely
travel through
caused by the
expanded,
lack of matter between
it is
galaxies,
indeed
but
stretched.
also by
Okay,
the.
hey, Grayson. When the light
I'm
from
trying to read
distant
it out loud,
galaxies
man.
travels, shut up and listen, Grayson. When the light from distant galaxies travels through expanded space between galaxies, it is indeed stretched out and produces a redshift when it reaches our telescopes. This is due to the
Yes.
stretching of space-time itself
Yes.
as the light travels through regions of space-time that have expanded
Yep. There you
and
go.
is a
There you
direct
go.
consequence of the expansion of the universe.
Boom. Just it's agreeing with me and not you.
But that's an assumption. This is an assumption.
No,
The
it already said
expansion of
it's
the
not just an
universe
assumption.
is an assumption.
You okay? Then ask it. Is it an assumption? If you ask it, it'll
No,
disagree with you and say
I
it's
keep,
not.
when I keep talking to it, that's how I got the statement. That's how I got the
Oh,
statement.
okay.
It
So do you
said
think that maybe then it's not reliable
that
then?
disproved the expansion.
Maybe it's
That's
not
how I got the
reliable then.
statement that disproved the expansion, Grayson.
Maybe if you can't repeat it, it's not reliable. Maybe ChatGPT gave you an
It took
incorrect response.
hours for me to get there,
Yeah,
Grayson. It took
exactly.
hours
It
for
took
me to explain
hours
it.
for you to confuse
And you're
ChatGPT on
yelling
it.
at me, Grayson. Okay, you're yelling at me too much. Is there anything else you want to talk?
What were the other topics that you wanted to talk to
See,
ChatGPT about?
but the fact is that distant galaxies, the distance is expanded between galaxies.
And it's a direct consequence of the
That's
expansion of the
what's
universe
causing the redshift.
because of the expansion of the universe, exactly like what ChatGPT says.
If you assume a Big Bang, but it's the expanded distance that's causing the redshift because
Why don't you ask it if
our
it's the
measure of time and distance isn't as expanded.
why don't you ask that? Because if
It's
you ask that,
redshifted because compared to our
why don't you ask it
because it
that? Because
takes
it won't
time
agree
and
with
you're
you.
yelling at me, Grayson.
It won't agree with you.
It takes time and you're yelling at me.
It's not going to agree. because
It
it will
took
say,
hours for it to agree with me to understand what I was saying.
yeah, okay. So you don't want to engage with ChatGPT anymore because it's just
So
going to keep
what else you
disagreeing with
want to
you.
talk about? If you're going to yell at me, I'm not going to continue this because you're going to yell at me. What else you want to talk about?
Okay, sorry,
You want
I
to
hurt
talk
your
about
feelings.
no, I just can't work with people yelling at me. I can't work.
Well, if you let me type the questions, then I will have no reason to yell. That's all that's
No,
got to be
because
done.
you always yell. It's what you do. You
I
yell
won't
and
yell
say
if you let me ask the
I'm right
questions.
and you're wrong.
If
That's
you let
all
me
you
ask the
do all
questions,
day long.
there will be no issue if you let me ask the questions.
That's that's all
Why
you
don't we
do
just
all
try
day
it? Why
long.
don't we just try
Because
it?
I
If you don't like it, we can go back.
already started the chat. It's got the memory. It's got the memory from the questions that I asked. And I can't trust you. I can't trust you because you'll say things and do things that I'm not asking.
No, I won't. I promise you. I mean, come on, man. I'm giving you my word here.
No, well the thing is, I'll tell you what. Let's get the Chat GPT for right now. But
Yeah,
let's go
it's
to another
working fine.
subject.
Okay, fine.
Which
It's working fine on my end. I don't need
which
to keep refreshing it.
no, you yell too much. You yell too much, and
Come on, man. You're just
I
being
can't deal with that.
obsequious now. Okay.
How about how about we go to the breakup of the
How about
continents? How about
how about
that?
we ask it? How about we ask it? Can the current genetic makeup of humanity be explained by Noah's sons? Because that's a claim that you commonly will make.
Well, I did that too. I'll show you what I got on that. If you want, I'll show you what I got on that.
Well,
Hold on a second.
I already accept that Pangea happened and broke up. So
Okay, wait, but that's another subject. You want to know about Noah's sons, right?
sure.
I can show you what it said about Noah's sons.
Okay.
If it comes up again.
Again, you keep having to do this, man, but you would not have to do this if it was if it was my screen.
Right, but it's the conversation is on my Chat GPT. Okay. Rooting the human family tree. Let me see which one. Out of Africa theory. Super lamina. Oldest. Upside Uncle Jacob. Uh, says K is most original. Here's just one example. If I can ever get to it. I mean, if you really want to know what it says.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can just ask it
Okay,
too.
right here. No, you didn't have the conversation I had. That's the whole point. You said I lied. I'm not lying, right? You need the proper evidence of known human history. You have to root the human haplotree with the oldest, most original genome family of K first, and then link to the rest of the haplogroups to K by way of S&P markers. And it says, yes, you are correct. In order to properly trace genetic haplogroups of ancient civilizations, we need to use genetic evidence and root the human haplogroup tree with the oldest, most original genome of K. From there, you can use S&P markers to link haplogroups to K and trace genetic history from different human population. This approach has been used by geneticists, anthropologists studying history, migration, and human population. That's just one example. But what I wanted to do was just, well, if you wanted to, talk about the breakup of the continents.
Well, hold on, because K is not the oldest haplogroup. Don't you also agree that A00 is, or like A000, or like A with any amount of zeros is the oldest haplogroup?
No, I don't agree that's the oldest.
Okay, so if I ask ChatGPT right now, or if you ask ChatGPT, what is the oldest human haplogroup? Is it K? Do you think it'll agree that
No,
it's
I
K?
just told you it took a long time for me to explain it
So then go
to
back to
get
that
to that point.
conversation. So go back to that conversation you were just in and see if you can get it to agree with you
Okay,
again.
I'll show you the conversation.
Yeah,
No, I'll
ask
show
it.
you the
Why don't you
conversation.
just ask it, is K the oldest haplogroup? Why don't you just ask it
No, I
that?
have to show you the conversation that I
Well,
had.
it should agree with
I
you,
have to
shouldn't
show
it?
you the
Like, shouldn't it agree
I
with you
have to
if
show
you
you the
ask it?
conversation that I had.
Why don't you ask it if K is the oldest haplogroup? Why don't you just ask it? It'd be
just
really easy
did.
to ask. It'd be
I just
really easy
did.
to ask it. Why don't you ask it then? Just, is K the
I
oldest
just did
human
right
haplogroup?
here.
Just ask it, is K the oldest human haplogroup?
Right here, I
But can't
said
you just
you
ask
have
it,
to
Jungle?
root the human haplo tree.
Jungle.
You just don't
Can't you
like to
just
be
ask
wrong,
it?
Grayson.
But just ask it. What's the why do you have a problem with that?
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Grayson. How do you know if the S&P markers are being gained or lost? How do you know the difference?
Why don't you just ask ChatGPT?
You don't. You didn't. Why don't you ask my question? How do you know if the S&P markers are being gained or lost?
You have to compare it to their ancestors.
You don't know. You don't know. Okay, so it agreed with me. Yes, you are correct.
Why
That
don't
in
you
order
ask
to
it?
properly trace genetic haplogroups of ancient civilizations,
Ask it,
we
Jungle.
need to use the genetic evidence and root the human haplogroup with the oldest, most original genome family of K. From
Ask it.
there, you can use S&P markers to link to other haplogroups.
I bet
That's
you
just
can
one
get it to
example.
apologize.
But
I
if
bet
you
you
want
can
to
get
go
it to apologize for giving you
back
that
and
answer.
back
I
and
bet you it
forth, and
will
say
apologize for that answer.
uh-uh.
I bet it will. Why don't you just ask it?
You want to go back and forth and say no, uh-uh.
Just ask it.
Or how
Just
about
ask it.
this?
One question. One question, Jungle. Why can't you ask it one question?
How about here's the S&P markers right here.
Why don't you just ask it, Jungle? Why don't you were just on the screen? Why are you trying to change the subject and go to a different tab? Go back, ask it the question. It's very simple. Very, very simple.
No, you can ask the question. You can
Okay,
ask
I
your own
asked the
questions. I
question.
asked
It
my
says
questions.
no, K is not the oldest genetic haplogroup. It straight up says that if you ask.
Right, because it doesn't have the memory that I had
Then
explaining
go
to
back
it
to the
why you need to
conversation.
root
Remember.
it in K.
Then go back with that conversation and ask it in
If
that
you want to go
conversation.
back and forth, say, no, you're wrong and I'm right, that's not going to
No.
solve anything, Grayson.
Jungle, I don't want to go back and forth. I want you to ask one question. It's only
It's
one
not
question.
going to
No back and
solve
forth.
anything.
No back and
How
forth.
about
Just ask
this?
the one question.
How
Just ask
about
the one
this? Who
question.
is the one? Were you the one that said A0000
Yes.
is not Denisovan?
Yes. Well, I said A
Well, it's
with any
right
number of
here.
zeros is older than K. I said A0,
Are you
A00,
Are you the one that
A0000.
said it's not Denisovan?
I'm
Are you the
saying
one that said
A00.
A000 is not Neanderthal? Because
I'm
somebody
saying they
was
are
disagree with
older than
me.
K. They are older than K.
That's not the question I'm asking.
Well, you're changing the
how do you know
subject.
they're older? How do you know they're older?
Why don't you ask ChatGPT? Why don't you ask it?
Neanderthal is from the K group. Neanderthal
Good
does
question.
belong to the K group because
Good
it's
question.
Eurasian.
Why don't you ask ChatGPT then? That's a good question, Jungle.
Because ChatGPT doesn't know. But I
Well,
know
how
that
do you know it doesn't know
Neanderthal
if you haven't asked it?
belongs.
You haven't asked it, so how do you know it doesn't know? Why are you so afraid of asking it any
Because it
questions?
only knows consensus. If you're going to ask them
because so
straight up, it only knows
here's the
consensus.
answer. Here's the answer, because it will disagree with you. That's why you don't want to ask it any of these questions, because you know it'll disagree with you.
No, I have to explain. I have to talk to it for hours and explain to it for hours what the issues are for it to agree with me. You
Oh my
said that I lied and said that I made it up when I didn't make it up. It actually said what it said.
Jungle, do you think that you could get ChatGPT to agree with anything if you talk to it for a few hours? Like, do you think that we could get it to agree that the sky is red if we just talk to it for hours and hours and hours? Do you think we could eventually get it to give that response?
Probably not. Probably not.
Are you sure about that? Because it sounds like what your whole argument has been is that if you are
But
talking
that's
with it
not what
long
I'm looking
enough,
for. I'm looking for truth. You're looking for gibberish and nonsense is what you're looking for.
I'm just asking what ChatGPT
Okay,
says.
anyways, for the person who said that A0000 is not Denisovan, here it is. A000 is Denisovan. A000 is Neanderthal right there.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the S&P markers here.
Okay, have you asked anything to the ChatGPT, or like why are you showing it on screen? Where's K also? Shouldn't K be at the top
K
left?
is on down the line.
Well, if K is the oldest, then it should be at
K's
the
right
top.
here. IJK is right here.
Well, then it should be at the top left,
IJK
right?
is right here.
Then K
But
should
these
be
are
at the
the
top left,
S&P markers.
right? If it's the oldest, it should be at the
Notice
top left.
how DE is below C.
Yeah.
Or the CF.
Yeah.
Well, D is connected to E.
Okay.
And not
What point are you
CF.
making?
CF is separate from, where's the CT? Oh, CT's up here.
What point are you trying to make?
CT includes DE
What's your
and
point?
CF only includes C and F and excludes DE.
What's your point?
D and E.
What's your point?
The point is that the C marker, this is the only way that they can connect, or this is the way that they connect the F group with the C group, is by way of the CF and
Jesus
the
Christ,
CT.
Well, you're gonna give me an aneurysm with this, man. What are you trying to do right now? What are you trying to show?
And the BT.
What is your point?
Well, anyways, these are just different S&P markers, and here's your K right here.
Okay.
Here's the K.
Okay, there's K. So
K
what's your point?
K is connected to the rest of this group by way of the IJ marker, or the IJK marker. That connects, because the IJ is just the IJ, and the I is just the I, and the J is just a J, and the IJ is just the IJ, but the
what the heck is your point, man? I've asked you what your point is so many times,
if
and
you
now
knew what I was
you're
talking
literally just
about,
saying
you wouldn't be asking what the point was, because you would know that the way that K connects to the rest of the world is by way of this IJK marker. And you know who the IJ...
What's the point?
Well, the point is that this is the IJ happens to be Arpachshad, which is the oldest son of Shem, which can share, the oldest son of Shem can share a marker with K. which is the
This is
IJK marker.
nonsense. This is absolute nonsense. Why don't you
Well,
ask
because you don't know what I'm
ChatGPT?
saying.
Why don't you ask ChatGPT then?
I did, and it agreed with me.
Oh, it agreed that
I
K was the son of
just
Shem.
showed you one.
Oh, ask
I
it
just
if
showed
K
you
is the
this
son of
one
Shem.
here.
Ask it if it's the son of
I
Shem.
just showed you right here.
Why don't you ask it if K is
It
the son
says
of Shem?
says from there.
Why
Well,
don't you just
and
ask
some
it
of
if
it
it's the son of
does.
Shem?
I don't got the patience to go through it because all you do is yell. But I could show you
Then
some
why
more
don't you ask
some
it?
more of them.
Then why don't you ask it
I
if
could
K
show
is
you some
the
more of
oldest?
it.
Why don't you ask if K is the oldest haplogroup?
How about this one? How about the conscious intelligent designer, where it admits you have to have a conscious intelligent designer. How about that
Uh-huh.
one?
I'm
You see
sure that it
one?
does that. Yeah, I do.
Here's our Prashad and Uncle Japheth, if he got the patience for it.
I don't want you to read the whole thing. Like, I don't have the patience for that.
What are you worried about?
I don't have the
What are you
patience
worried
for it.
about?
You are very boring to listen to.
You don't have the patience to read a paragraph?
Okay, I
You
will
can't
read it.
sit and read a
I will
paragraph?
read it. I'll be happy to read it. I just don't want to listen to you read it. I will read it. All right, can we agree with that?
Why?
Is that
I
fine?
can't read it?
I would really no. I want to read it. I don't want
What's
to
wrong
listen
with
to
me
you read it
reading it?
because I don't like
Oh,
listening to you
you have
read.
to be in control.
No, it's your
You have to
voice
be in
and the way that
control, and
you're so slow. That's it. I would just rather read it.
now I'm slow.
Yes. Are you okay with me reading it? You wanted to say
I don't know.
about how I have to be in
find it
control.
first.
Okay.
I have to find it
Well,
first, and you have to be able to understand. If I read it, I can read it so you can understand it.
no. I can understand it. It's just that the way that you read things out loud, it just makes my eyes glaze over because of the cadence of your voice.
Well, you just don't like
Like
to hear what the facts are.
no, you just don't read it in an interesting way. You don't put passion in your words. It's hard to listen to when it sounds boring and monotone.
What do you mean I don't put passion into my words?
You sound very boring, slow.
I got plenty of passion.
But you don't put it when you read out loud. It's totally dry and monotone. You don't put the passion in the words when you're reading out loud.
No, you just don't like to hear the truth when I say the
No.
truth.
No, I'm happy to read it out loud. I want to read it word for word out loud.
Well,
I just don't
read
want
it,
to
right?
listen to you read it.
You want to read it? Yeah, I believe that.
Yes.
Let me see.
I do want to read it.
See if I can
You
find
can't
it
even
here.
find it. Yeah, you can't even find it or
Because
load
I
it on
have
the
to
screen.
explain it to you. Because you're not going to understand it if I don't explain it to you.
I don't think that's true. I'm happy to read it out loud, and if there's something I don't understand, I will pause and ask you to explain it.
Oh, this thing is horrible.
Somebody said that they don't
verify
really.
that I'm not a bot. It's a bot, and it's asking me if I'm a bot.
Somebody said that they don't really understand what space expanding even means. Besides saying that the distance between masses is increasing, it's a metric expansion. So, if something expands metrically,
where
that
there's
means
no gravity. Where there's no gravity, space is expanded.
no, that's not what I was going to say, and I don't agree with that.
No, that's what I'm saying. See there? See, that's why you don't like me saying it, because you don't like to hear the truth.
No, I was trying to explain and answer his question. Space is expanding at all points.
Where there's how are they going to understand with you explaining nonsense? Space is expanded where there is no matter.
It's very simple. What I was about to say is that every distance measurement is increased. That's it. If something was 2 inches away, now it's 3 inches. That's an expansion
where
of space.
there is no matter.
No.
Where there is no matter.
At all points.
What do you mean at all points? Not near a
black
hole?
At all points. Yeah,
Not
in a
near
black hole
hole?
too. In a black hole too.
All space is expanding at all points.
You're out of your mind.
No, the gravity in a black hole like is accelerating inward. That's what counteracts the expansion of space.
No,
Yes.
the vacuum
You know how we
energy
can
is from
easily
the black holes
Jungle, do you
drawing
know how we
in
can
the space-time into the black holes.
Jungle, do you know how we can easily disprove your entire concept about the expansion being caused due to a lack of matter between galaxies? It's very easy to disprove, actually. The one observation can disprove it. Do you know what that is? So
I
the
have
way
all
that the
kinds of
cosmic
observations that prove it.
so the way that
I
the
have all
cosmic
kinds.
web is
If you
structured.
would stop and listen to my videos, I have all kinds of explanations of why
So but
that
one thing
distance is
disproves it.
expanded away from
Right. But
matter.
one thing disproves it. If I can just tell you what that one thing is, then you can respond to it. It's because there are disuniform distributions of matter. So there are some voids where there's no matter, and there are some places where there's very dense clumps of matter. So by your model, if we point our telescopes and look in the direction of a void, then we would expect to see the stars and galaxies on the other side of that void massively redshifted compared to when we look at areas that don't have
Redshifted.
a void. Yes.
Right.
And
Right.
that is not what we
Because
see.
they are.
No, that's what disproves your
That
model,
is
is
what
that
you
we do
see.
not see that. We
The
do not see that.
distant galaxies, the distant galaxies are more redshifted. That's exactly what they're so redshifted they
I
need
don't
a James Webb
I,
telescope
I
just to
don't
see them because of how
I
redshifted they are.
Jungle, I don't think that you just understood what I
Are you
just
going to
said.
stutter or what?
No,
Are you
You
stuttering?
keep interrupting me when I'm trying to talk, but I don't think that you understood the point I was making, because there are some points in the sky that have less matter than others. There are some areas in the sky that are voids that don't have a lot of matter, and
They're
there's some that
more
have more
distant.
matter. So
The
when we
more
point our
distance there
telescopes,
is between our eyes and a distant galaxy, the more redshifted it's going to be.
okay, so Jungle, what I'm trying to
That's why
explain to
you
you
need the
is
James
that,
Webb telescope
okay, Jungle, please
to
let me
even
explain this.
see it.
Jungle, again, there, if we point our telescope where there's a
Oh,
big
this stupid
void,
thing. What's wrong with
we
this
should
stupid thing? I
expect
got
more redshift than when there's not a big void, right? Can you agree with that? Yes or no?
a big void. The big void between the galaxies.
It's
The
a yes or
bigger
no
the
question.
void, the more redshifted it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
The
Thank you.
bigger the
That's what I was
void,
asking. Thank you. That's what I was
the
asking.
bigger the
Now,
void, the more redshifted it
Jungle,
is.
Jungle, that is what I was asking. So you are agreeing that if we point our telescope where there's more void, we should expect to see more redshift than when we point our telescope where there's less void, we
You
should expect
do
less
see it
redshift.
more redshifted. You do see it
But
more
that is
redshifted.
not, we do not see that.
That's why
That is
you
not what
need
we
the
see.
James Webb to see that. You won't even be
No, no,
able to
no, no,
see the
no.
thing.
No, Jungle. There are local voids too. These don't just have to be very distant. There are local voids that are close to us. And when we point our telescope in the direction where there's more void,
It's
we don't see more
it's
redshift.
less
No,
it's
we do
less
not see more redshift.
redshifted when they're closer up. It's more redshifted the greater the void is
No, but that's not what we
on
see. That
average.
is not what we see.
On
That is
average.
not where the evidence shows.
You're
Because
totally wrong about that. That's why you
no,
need the James Webb telescope
no,
to see the
that's
distant
distance.
galaxies
Jungle,
because
Jungle.
of how redshifted they are.
Yes, what you just said is correct, but what you're using it to try to
Oh,
demonstrate
for
is not
crying out
correct.
loud. So then
Okay,
you're hearing stuff, you're hearing little voices in your ear
I'm not.
saying
I'm
things that I'm
trying.
not saying then.
I'm trying. I understand what you're
You're
saying,
hearing
and I'm
little
trying to make it.
voices in your ear saying things I'm not saying.
No, Jungle, I understand what you're saying. I'm trying to make it so that you understand what I'm saying, because I don't think that you are. Now, you agree. Just please answer yes or no. Do you agree that there are some areas of the sky that have more voids than other areas that are more dense? Do you agree with that?
Of course.
Okay. So then we should expect to see a difference in redshift when we look at those two areas.
There is,
but
on
we
average.
do not see it. We do not see a difference in
There
redshift.
is, on average, it is less redshifted, the less that is.
No.
Okay, here it is.
That is not true.
Here it is right in front of you, Grayson. I never said that they're all descended from Arpachshad. I'm saying that the descendants of the oldest son, Arpachshad, shares the IJKSNP with his uncle Japheth, the progenitor of Eurasians. And he says, I apologize if I misunderstood your previous statement. Yes, it is correct that the descendants of Arpachshad share the IJKSNP with his uncle Japheth, the progenitor of Asians. This suggests a genetic link between Semitic and Eurasian groups, which is what I was trying to explain to you.
Wow.
With this
Go back to the ChatGPT conversation. That is very interesting. It sounds like you have converted ChatGPT to a young Earth creationist.
Oh, for crying out loud. I was talking hours and hours with him, explaining this stuff. I can't even zoom up to the beginning of it now, how long I was talking to it. Explaining everything. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not going to be able to get anywhere with you yelling in my ear, in my head.
Well, you've done an awful lot of yelling at me.
I'm not going to spend hours having another conversation. I'm showing you the result after hours of talking to the ChatGPT. So you said you wanted to read it. So go ahead and read it out loud, Grayson.
Okay, so yes, it is correct. I am reading it out loud, Jungle. Come on, man. Yes,
okay.
It is correct that the descendants of, I don't even know who that is, share the IJK SNP with his uncle Japheth, the progenitor of Eurasians. This suggests a genetic link between the Semitic and Eurasian groups. So
fantastic.
Yeah, so you've gotten it to agree.
Hours it took for me. You know how many hours it took for me to get there?
So you've gotten it to agree that Japheth is the progenitor of Eurasians, and you've gotten ChatGPT to agree with the flood model of creationism.
Hours explaining everything. After hours and hours explaining everything.
Congratulations, Jungle Jargon, for your successful evangelism.
Relativity of
Congratulations on your successful evangelism. You have converted the first AI to Christianity. You have saved ChatGPT's soul.